now. Otherwise, okay, everybody, welcome back. We were having Engineer Kahoro Wachira of KPLC doing a presentation on professional registration process, and we are trying to demystify the process of registration as a professional engineer in Kenya. So it is time for questions and answers, and I know most of us are now rushing to beat the curfew deadline time. You have some 47 minutes before you reach home to be safe. I would not like to have an engineer having problem with the police or law in Kenya. So it's time for questions, and I will let this time to be taken. We will be guided by Engineer Diana Wedanji. Diana?
All right. Thank you, Engineer Ndolo. So it's question time. If you have any questions for Engineer Kahoro Wachira, he's ready to answer. Else, if you're in a noisy place, you can feel free to type on the Zoom chat or private message me or Ndolo. Yes.
So, Engineer, just to start, what is the procedure of registering with the, at KPLC? Because we know KPLC has a lot
question?
of. Hello.
Yes.
Engineer Kahoro, you have KPLC has a lot of many, rather not a lot, but many engineers, and I believe you have many ladies as graduate engineers. I wonder why we have very few numbers of registered professional engineers in electrical engineering. So far, KPLC is the biggest employer of electrical electronics engineers.
Thank you, Engineer. My feedback is that my comments are, yes, indeed, we have a big complement of professional engineers. It is important to note that we needed to have somebody or an engineer within the human resource department who asked to champion this process of registration. That does not mean that we have not been championing it before, but we needed to have a space where we can be able to do so. So you have also mentioned about lady engineers. KPLC has been one of the organizations in the forefront of registering or employing lady graduate engineers. A case in point, the last group of graduate engineers we brought into the organization about 2 years ago had 40 ladies out of 120. I want to mention here by saying they met the minimum requirements, they met all the criteria. So it was not a preference, it's that they were there. Now, if we want to change, in my view, the number of lady engineers joining organizations and institutions, and indeed being engineers by themselves, we have to start this discussion at the primary and at the high school and before the university level. And why do I say this? It's because we need to sensitize and demystify engineering, that it is a discipline or a profession for the male counterparts. It has to start there, because I recall, even if we look at the number of engineers we registered 2 years ago and we had 40, it is interesting to note that there are not many who applied. So for us to turn around, if we want to turn around or to improve, I think the best word to use is to improve this registration for lady engineers and also recruitment in the various state agencies. it is important that we start this conversation at the high school level and at the primary school level, even if it's in a small way. And then there we grow with it as we reach the university, and then also the mentorship within the university. I know the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and indeed also our organization, KPLC, has actually carried out mentorship sessions at the university level and also at the high school level. And for me, I think that is what is going to help inspire this growth. As for the engineers, that we are very many, and that is why we are in HR, and we have very many mentorship sessions. Engineer Ohaga will be able to even describe that. If you look, we have divided our mentorship sessions across all regions. So in West Kenya, we had 58 graduate engineers going through the registration process with 4 professional engineers. If you go to North Rift, we had 36 participants, engineers within the North Rift region of KPLC, and we had a mentorship session, and we were able to get even other engineers from other regions, including Engineer Ohaga. We have another engineer, Nene, several others to come in and help build the numbers within the North Rift space. With the Central Rift, we had the recent mentorship, and in South Rift in Nakuru, if you remember, we had a good number of graduate engineers from KPLC. Coast region, we have mentored all the engineers. There are 42 graduate engineers. They have a consulting engineer also, who is the regional manager for Coast, to carry out that mentorship session. Within Nairobi, we are a number of us in different departments and sections, and we are carrying out mentorship as we continue. So I think we are moving well, and I think in the last EBK board meeting, we managed to get 9 professional engineers registered in KPLC, among which we had 2 ladies who successfully registered as professional engineers.
All right. So, okay. Thank you, Engineer Kahoro, for that. There are 3 questions that I'll ask them,
Yes, please.
so that you can answer the 3 of them together. So Ashrafa is asking, after submission of document verification with the referees questionnaires sent as well, EBK sent me a letter to go ahead with report preparation so I can appear on interviews.
Yes.
How long is the letter valid? Can I appear with my report 2 years later? So
yes,
I think
yes,
he has
Ashraf,
been
it
given.
is possible. It is possible.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
And the idea is it's giving you a timeline also to help you meet a certain criteria. When I had indicated earlier in my table, I had indicated that timetable helps you, or that roadmap helps you to gauge yourself and mark yourself. I know, I happen to know Ashraf, she's a KPLC employee. If you are doing something else, you look at your timings, and remember each timing is unique. So all of us will not register at the same time because our projects are different phases. Some of us want to have our projects to the construction stage and completion and commissioning. Others will be at concept stage. So the idea is you pace yourself based on your abilities and also your circumstances and situation.
Okay. And then Ashraf goes ahead and asks, how can I know or confirm if I'm a registered corporate member with IK?
You can only be a registered corporate member with IK if you sit interview, just like you sit an interview with the Engineers Board of Kenya. So you first register as a graduate member. Corporate member interviews under IEK are just the same kind of interview you would take if you were to go through the EBK way.
Okay, thank you. So Martin is asking, what happens if my mentor is not a paid up member of IEK? Can they still appear as my referee?
No.
No, that one does not work that way, because especially if you're registering through IEK, you have to support the society. So as a professional engineer,
Yeah.
one of the requirements is for you to support the society by being a member, and being a member means paying your annual subscriptions. So the
Okay.
alternative I would give as a solution is to look for somebody else or request your mentor to regularize.
All right. Then Simon Bugwa is asking, there's a technology body called KETRIB. When you read the Act of Parliament of 2016 and compare it with the EBK Act of Parliament 2011, the only difference is the titles. Technologists can do the same task as an engineer, guided by the law. They also have their society known as IET. What is your take on this?
I would only make one comment. KETREB and the Engineers Act has, apart from the name, is also one fundamental difference. There is the aspect of engineering design. The KETREB Act does not have engineering design as one of its mandates or abilities. Despite the name, that is the only difference. So in the eyes of the law, and this we have actually consulted a lot of legal experts in this area, in the eyes of the law, the documents are the same, that is true, but they are similar, not the same, because as I mentioned, there's one area the Engineers Act mentions that is not mentioned in the KETREB Act. There was a question of IET. I think Engineer Ohaga had mentioned something in his presentation, in his Q&A, mentioning that the Engineers Board of Kenya and the Institution of Engineers of Kenya gets into something they call mutual recognition agreements. And I am aware that especially the Institution of Engineers of Kenya has also been trying to get into mutual recognition agreements with such organizations like IET. I am not sure of the specifics, so I shouldn't be quoted. But I know IEEE also, there has been concerns raised by members. Why don't we have a reciprocation agreement so that once you register with one body, it becomes easy to apply and get registered with the other body. So I think we have to leave that with the board, that's the Engineers Board of Kenya, and then the Council of the Institute of Engineers of Kenya to be able to guide on that. Maybe at some point, Engineer Ohaga may want to comment on behalf of the council, because personally I'm not in council, on that matter of reciprocation. But he had explained it very clearly that these discussions and agreements are phase by phase. They have to be agreed, there has to be a document drafted, and then now give and take, see where the areas of interest are, collaboration, and then they sign off. Both parties sign off, and then it becomes enforceable. And mind you, when you come into such agreements, there may be some input of the members to ratify or confirm, either through the IEK Council, if it's IEK, if it's EBK, the EBK board. Thank you.
Okay, so yes, we are encouraged to ask PIP related questions. Thank you, Engineer Kahoro, for tackling that. Yeah, and also says that acts will be tackled after the new council takes office. So anyone else with a question, please feel free to unmute if you can unmute and ask the question or comment.
Hello.
Hello, John.
Hello.
This is John. I wanted to ask, Engineer Ohaga mentioned something on the essay, but seems like not much of it has been discussed in the seminar today. Maybe could you give a few insights on the essay part?
Hi, John, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Engineer.
How is Mount Kenya region?
Mount Kenya is fine.
Good. In response to the essay, when the interview is done, that means you appear in front of a panel of three panelists, sometimes four. The fourth one usually comes in as an observer, but they are primarily three panelists. Once you go through the interview process, your documents are interrogated, your discussion is finalized. The panel has the discretion based on what you have presented and also the documents that you have given, whether they require to call you for an essay. Now, the essay is, once you have successfully done the interview, the essay will be on a topic related to what you have discussed in the interview. It may be an area of clarification or an area of interest, but each essay is unique to each candidate. So you may find, for example, in your case, if you're in O&M, operations and maintenance, you may find there's an area in your report you have described, but we want a little more detail. Not that we are being punitive, is that we are trying to extract the engineering abilities that you have in expressing yourself. Then the essay also helps the panelists understand that you're able to communicate, assuming you're doing a report for a third party, let's say your supervisor, or let's say for another organization, especially in cases where, like in our organization, you find yourself seconded to another organization, like the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. So we would want to understand and know that you have the ability to articulate and express yourself in writing. So that is one of the things that the essay helps us determine or achieve. I also want to mention here that the essay is normally given to those candidates that are under 45 years of age. And I have a disclaimer here by saying that it doesn't mean you have to wait until you're 45 for you to present yourself for an interview. The thing is, the report, the project report and the training and experience report require the same detail as if you are under 45 years of age. Okay. Thank you, John.
Please, engineer, clarify what the 45 years of age means.
We have candidates that present themselves for, and they are 45 years and older. So in such instances, the candidate goes through the normal interview and they present the reports, both the training and experience and the project report. When we are through with the interview and the panel feels and is satisfied that the candidate has met the requirements, they are not requested to appear for an essay. The marks are computed out of 90 and then made into a percentage. And this applies to those who are over 45 years of age. This is a rule that has been there, and we also follow the same rule.
Is it anchored? Is it anchored within the laws? What are the laws taking?
No, it's not anchored in the law. It is just the various organizations, if it is the Engineers Board of Kenya or the Institute of Engineers of Kenya, through a discussion or through a meeting within their council or within their board,
yes,
finds this as the way to go. I believe that is what happened. I cannot confirm, but I believe that is the position. So just like even the process of interviewing is not anchored in law, you know you have to go through an interview, but the details of the interview and how we interview as panelists.
Yeah, the procedures are not put in the law, they are developed separately. Yes.
Exactly. They are also not in the regulations, but they form part. What they give is guidance. Now, each entity is given the mandate to come up with these particular procedures and then ratify them through their respective either board or council.
So we should expect, we should at least try to ensure that those who are 45 years and above should be able to register very fast, because they are also there. There are very many. They should
I agree with you.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, questions?
So Bernard is okay. Yeah. See, so it's a comment. Bernard, you have a comment?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just have a question on when you are registering as an electrical engineer. And let's say you've done a design of a project, and you are you've not really taken part in the construction of the project, but you've done the design, and you went ahead and maybe participated a bit in commissioning. Is it okay to capture a bit of the things that you participated in during the commissioning of the project?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, it is good to indicate, because there'll be a part where you'll indicate where you are at and what you have achieved. But the main important point is the design. You participated in the design. And this project, it's a particular part of the design. You may find you're given teams of 2 or 3 to carry out the design, and you find for you, Bernard, you've been given one area. So focus on that one area.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Engineer, maybe you can clarify this. There is a question about do you present the TE, the project, and the essay at once? But in my understanding, it is the TE is in the morning, the PR is in the afternoon, but then the essay, where does it come in?
The presentation of the documents, both the training and experience and the project report, are submitted earlier. So they're submitted, if it's in the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, there is a receptionist who receives the documents, goes through them to confirm that they are complete, and then stamps them to confirm that they have been received by the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Then the chairman of the panel, in this case the electrical panel, is notified on the names and the individuals who have presented, the names and the discipline that has presented the particular reports. And this report comes usually, or this information comes, let's say, towards the end of the month. So in the first or second week of the following month, he calls his panelists for a meeting to be able to review all the documents. And we determine, as a panel, we determine whether the documents have met the threshold for an interview to be conducted, or they meet the threshold for a discussion for further improvement. And each panelist takes notes of the areas of improvement, whether the or areas or comments on the areas that the candidate has actually articulated himself or herself well. And that is a document that is actually kept for future reference. So once you determine, like now, for example, this particular candidate requires to be called for an interview, the secretariat is informed, because now all that information is collated. Let's assume there are 10 candidates for interviews. The information is collated, then the secretariat does formal letters that are signed for the individuals to appear for the interview on specific dates. The secretariat sends soft copies of the letter, calls the candidate, and also provides hard copies if they require that for them to come for the interview.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Diana?
Nah.
Can I just make some contribution?
Yes, engineer. And
Yes.
I think, engineer, you can make contributions, and you are the one to close the meeting for us. So I think at this point, I thank Engineer Wachira. I know he will still be able to chip in at as we continue with the webinar bit.
Yes, I'm still in. I'm still in.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Kahoro.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to contribute on the question on the training and experience report and the project report and the essay. The presentation of the training and experience report and the project reports are all done at once on the interview day. And this happens in the morning. And most of the time you start with the training and experience report. You are given a chance to present in 3 minutes, and then the questions will follow in about 25 minutes. And then the project report then follows. Again, you are given a chance as a candidate to be able to present your project report in 3 minutes, just giving the panelists the background of the problem and how it was sorted out. And then the questions will follow in about 25 minutes. Now, by the time you are leaving that interview room, after about 45 minutes, if you've passed that interview in terms of the role interview, you will be then asked to stay to appear for the essay in the afternoon. So you have passed the oral interview, which encompasses both the training and experience report and the project report, having discussed it in full. And then you're asked to come in the afternoon to do the essay. So the essays are normally done in the afternoon, but the training and experience report and the project report all are done in the morning. I think now that one clarifies the question that was asked by Simon Bogwa.
Okay. Other questions? I think members have enjoyed and they are really satisfied with the presentation and the answers they have gotten. So, but in case there are questions, I know we will still be able to share later on. So, Engineer Kaoru Wachira, who presented BIT, has tackled more and has given the ideas. And I know he will also share with us his email. He's also
yes, I will send on chat just in a short while.
Yes, he will share with us the email, then we will supply members with it, participants, so that they can get in touch with the engineers, because in the previous times, there has been a question on where are the engineers, the contacts are not there. You can't know who is in the engineers list who is paid up. So right now we have 4 engineers today who are paid up, and you can get in touch with them and they can also guide you to know which engineers are paid up and also to be your mentors. So at this point in juncture, Engineer Ohaga, the floor is yours to take us to the last sessions and then we wind up.
I think the last session is just to close it up. I must say we are very happy from the institution point of view and from my own personal view. We want to commit that in the next 2 years, the numbers and especially the electrical, electronics, telecommunication engineers must just improve. And we are going to do everything within our powers, within our energy, within our expertise to ensure that we mentor. And the people who will have been mentored and become professional engineers will also be tasked to be able to mentor other graduate engineers. And I think if you did
Engineer, something is wrong with your sound. Oof. Engineer Ohaga, something is wrong with your sound. Can members hear Engineer Ohaga?
No.
Oh, we can't hear him.
I think I told him to. I told him not to use his Bluetooth, his wireless headset. So it's crazy.
I'll rather inform him.
And we have a few minutes before we end the session. Okay, otherwise, as engineer sets his mic, we have some 9 minutes before we end this session. Just a quick summary. Today, the 1st of April, some members thought it was a Fool's Day for engineers, but I would like to inform members that we were able to have 4 engineers in the panel today to demystify the process of registration. And the engineers who joined us were Engineer Ohaga, Engineer Wachira, Engineer Eric Wanjala, and Engineer Andrew Masila. So we have tried to demystify the process. Engineers now, the task is yours, and you should be able to contact them to register as a professional engineer. Plus, the process does not seem to be hard. The process is only made to be hard because of the maybe lack of information or ignorance. But now that we have the information and the ignorance has been dealt with, I hope that the young graduate engineers outside there should be able to take up their duty and just record their documents and have them ready for presentation. Getting a mentor should not be a problem. As we heard from the presenters, we can get mentors from even as far as Moyale, even if you're in Nairobi, so long as you keep in touch. And you can use webinar, which there are many platforms to use. There is Zoom, there's WebEx, there's Google and the Google meeting points. There are some other more areas where you can meet and chat and prepare your documents and get your defense and get your license to practice professional engineering in Kenya. So, Engineer Ohaga, you're ready for us?
Okay, thank you so much, Engineer. I think I'm now audible. I just want to say that we are very pleased to have participated in this mentorship. We want to say that the numbers for electrical electronics engineers will have to improve. We have committed to get as many mentors as possible for the graduate engineers who are currently in the country. And these graduate engineers, once they become professional engineers, we have tasked them to mentor at least 5 graduate engineers in their lifetime. And if you did this, then we are foreseeing that in the next 4 years, the numbers of graduate engineers will have greatly improved. We want to say also from where we sit in IK, we are privileged that most of the presenters today are panelists. And what we have done as panelists, we have always mentored our electrical engineers so that when they present their papers and they present their documents, they come and they pass the first time. We don't want to refer people back because we shall have mentored them in the right format possible. So we are asking the graduate engineers in all parts of this country, wherever they are, to continue engaging with us. We shall not tire to mentor them, provided we change the numbers the way they appear now. The numbers are not very good for electrical, and we want to change the numbers in the next 2 years. So we are looking forward to engaging with each one of the graduate engineers so that we can work together, we can mentor each other, we can coach each other so that we grow the nation together. Thank you so much.
Okay, Diana, you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Ohaga, for co-organizing this and bringing the panelists. A very informative evening session. Personally, I've learned quite a lot. And thank you, Engineer Wachira, for Masila, for taking your time also to educate us this evening. And thank you, Engineer Ndolo, for organizing this and for co-hosting it with me. To everyone who joined, you've been so active during the session. We have taken time courtesy of every one of you because of the amazing questions you have asked that have been answered diligently. So thanking you all. We hope to have more of such in future. 2021. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. You're my able co-host, and at this very moment, I would like to request one thing from Engineer Ohaga before we end up session. Engineer Ohaga, we are interested in hosting agricultural and biosystem engineers. We had questions earlier on. We are not able to get them because they are very few. So in your capacity at IEK, kindly get us at least 2 who can help the agricultural and biosystem engineers.
You disappeared, Engineer Ndolo.
I'm saying, can you get us some 2 or 3 agricultural biosystem engineers so that we can also help our brothers and sisters in that area of engineering?
That one for sure, I can promise. I will avail 2 or 3 biosystems engineers to be able to take our brothers and sisters in that discipline.
Thank you so much. And also, members are reminded that Engineer Agre has also agreed to take another telecommunication session. So when he's ready, we will be able to notify you, and then we can have another session with them. Regarding webinar, I will ensure that before the next session, I will have paid again for 1 month or 2 so that we can host members a long sessions. So I think that's it. We can call it a day unless there's a burning thing for 1 minute.
Engineer Ndolo, thank you very much for your hosting. I think we have to appreciate what you have done for us. And I believe we shall have more sessions, and each of the presenters are ready to be in any of your presentations in future.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Engineer. Thank you so much. I will, hello?
Can I just ask a burning question I have?
We have 1 minute. If you can ask that in 1 minute.
Okay.
Or what you can do, you can write it and then we will share, and then we will compile all the questions and answers later on to be shared.
Okay.
Just write it to me either here or in our normal forum in Telegram.
Yes.
And then we will send the questions to engineers, and then they will tackle it, and we will share the questions back.
Okay.
Questions and answer back to us.
Okay.
Otherwise, everybody, I thank you for joining. I thank Engineer Kaoru Wachira, Engineer Masila, Engineer Wanjala, Engineer Ohaga for showing up and for helping members demystify the process of professional registration in Kenya. And I also like to thank my co-host, Diana, and we will, for sure, we will be doing more of this. Otherwise, everybody, thank you. Bye-bye. Good evening. Take care. Keep safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.